Yo, what's up? What's good? What is happening? Everybody out there that is tuning in live to the first inaugural episode of The Sports Bar. I am your host, King Smith. Good evening, all right? It is Sunday, January the 8th, and we're streaming across multiple platforms. You can find The Sports Bar streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, it looks like. All right. I might be wrong on that. But you know what? It is all good. I am your host, King Smith. And tonight, we're going to be talking about sports. All right. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of what the sports bar is going to be about. We're going to be here for about an hour. And for the first episode, it's just going to be us getting the opportunity to know each other. All right. So shout out to the early people in the chat. I see Michelle. I see Pete in the building. Heath Ballo said, first time listener. What's this show about? LOL. Heath, I've seen you in the chat. This is the first time in some of the other shows for WTF Nation Radio. But we're going to be here talking about sports. All right. I'm going to have the opportunity to check out some games and report back kind of how some things was. I'm going to give y'all my interest, okay? But we're going to build this show together as the show progresses throughout its time online, all right? So a little bit about me, for example. My name is King. I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran. My sports experience consists of high school and a little bit of post-high school playing football. All right, I was a fullback and a tailback several pounds ago, and that is where it stopped. But shortly after the military, I joined the Air Force, served for about 10 years as an in-flight refueler. Got out, and now I'm doing the civilian life, okay? I'm the average sports enthusiast that can talk about the sports that I follow closely with my friends, family, and peers, and to y'all, the listeners and viewers out there. Primarily, I watch and root for American football. And you have to put that American football out there because if you're in Europe, they say the real football is soccer. But over here in the United States, we know what the real football is. My pro teams that I support and follow are the Baltimore Ravens. All right. My college team is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Roll Tide. And I keep up with basketball as one of my other professional sports that I watch, but I don't necessarily have a favorite team. Okay. My favorite player right now, I would say, is the GOAT, LeBron James. And I follow some of the other major sports, but we aren't just going to be talking about baseball, football, basketball over here. We're going to get into some other things as well. If it's a sport and it's interesting, we're going to cover it, especially if it's a sport that supports our nation's veterans. It's my understanding that here on WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF Moments, that there are a lot of veterans that watch this show and veteran supporters. So to everybody out there that supports WTF Nation Radio, salute. MD Cos said that when I said GOAT, I said Michael Jordan incorrectly. First of all, MD Cos, that would be, he would be OG GOAT, but he'd be junior GOAT to LeBron James. I wish I had my sound effects working right now, but it is not. All right, we got So Mississippi in the building. Salute to you. And Richard Brandt said, these are the Patriots that I remember as a kid. I mean, I don't know if they were good when you were a kid or average or, the best or whatnot when you were a kid. I have a connection to the Patriots, as a matter of fact. And if I can get him on, we're also going to do interviews on this channel. And that's, local, high school, college, semi-professional, pro, I'm going to try to get any and everybody that I can that is relevant to sports to come onto the show. But one of my connections to the Patriots is a cousin who I have interviewed that played for the New England Patriots on the team in which they went all the way to the Super Bowl undefeated and lost to the New York Giants. All right. And my cousin is the same age as I am. And if you guys want to, relive history a little bit, and y'all are fans of that year, whether it's the Giants or the Patriots, I'll see if I can get my cousin on. Have a interview with him, recap what it was like to play with Coach Belichick for y'all, the viewers. And, since he played on defense, what was it like lining up in practice against the likes of Tom Brady and Randy Moss? All right. Those were some, power players. That year was the year that my cousin should have gotten his NFL Super Bowl ring. But he left with some hardware, being that they were the conference championships that year. All right. And Richard Branco said it is Branco. What'd I say? Branch? Bronx? I probably messed it all up. All right. David Cunningham, salute to you, said the Lord of the Rings in the NBA is Robert Ory. Yeah, good old Robert Ory. All right. Let's jump right into what we're going to talk about here in the first segment. Okay. I'm going to do what's called my weekly recap. Okay. So this weekly recap is just a few things that I chose to highlight. I'm not going to cover everything all sports related in 1 hour, and I might not cover the things that matter to you, but I'm going to cover the things that matter to me and sports in general. Okay. All right. Let's start off with what's going on in the NFL. As y'all know, on January 2nd, well, you might not know, so let me start that over. In the NFL on January 2nd, there was a Bills player by the name of Damar Hamlin who made a tackle against T. Higgins from the Cincinnati Bengals, stood up, and then dropped. And it was one of the most scariest things that anybody had ever seen. And it was also one of the first times that when you panned around and looked at the players and stuff that were on the field, people were crying as they didn't know what had happened to one of their fellow players and loved ones. If you're the parent of somebody as that occurs, how do you feel about that if you see something like that happens to your kid? But one of the narratives that came out of that is, did the beer virus, and I have to do air quotes, contribute to his collapse? If you don't know, when you're doing these live stream stuff, you have to kind of watch what you say, because they will cut your stream off if you say anything about misinformation. But I found it interesting that people were actually asking that question and attributing him taking a shot, so to speak, whether he had taken it or not, actually, because it wasn't known what the status was of him taking it, and that being the cause of why he collapsed. Now, I had saw somebody post that question and give a really spirited reasoning and rationale as to say that there's a lot more players nowadays dropping off due to this. And I say, take a step back, okay, and think about, in all of the games that's played on the professional level, on the collegiate level, high school, semi-pro, if you really want to die on that hill, so to speak, and blame that as the cause, I can raise my hand and say that I'm somebody who got diagnosed with heart disease when I was in the military. Okay. I got diagnosed when I was in quote unquote fighting shape, so to speak. And how it was determined was kind of flukish. But at the time, I was playing rugby and I was playing semi-pro football. And with my heart disease, a sudden impact could have caused me to have my TV turned off, so to speak. So, to the people that want to throw out conspiracy theories without understanding this person's medical condition and attribute him collapsing to the beer virus, what makes you say that? Why? If there's anybody that wants to support that, put it in the chat. All right. I love to hear that person rationale or rationalize that theory. Where do I stand? Nah. I don't believe that the beer virus contributed to his collapse or the pokety poke. It's not known whether Damar Hamlin um, had the pokety poke or not. But what is a positive message from this story, and I will wrap it, is that he is still in the hospital. He's awake. He posted a picture on Instagram, and I wish I had the time to bloop and put it up there so that people can see it. But there was definitely an outpouring of supportive people that wanted to ensure that the young man, who a lot of people have said some really positive things about him, gets the chance to still be able to walk this earth and possibly, who knows, be able to play the sport that he loves. There was another player, J.J. Watt, who he had a heart issue that was announced earlier this year, and he chose to announce his retirement and focus on his family as he just had, I believe, his first kid. So when you have heart issues like I do, and I suspect Hamlin might have, it makes you see things from a different perspective. Okay, so salute to Hamlin, to the people that supported him, and everybody that showed an outpouring of love. All right, let's go to the chat. I wish I could display the chat up here by pressing a button. We got David Cunningham said that it's nice to see people support Damar Hamlin. God is good. Okay. Jeff Albay said number 3 won the greatest game he could ever be in, which is the game of life. Absolutely. God bless it. No, the vaccination had nothing to do with what happened to the young man. And Michelle agrees with David. So do I. David Cunningham said, just remember, over 800,000 people did not get vaccinated and cannot be reached for comment. Okay. That's a pretty large number. Is that worldwide or just in the U.S.? If you happen to know that or put that down in the chat. Pookie said, only fact that I can say is that if it was the cause, we never, ever find out about it. Hey, I agree with that. If that was the cause, there is no way that they're going to release that as the cause. And I have to laugh because, yes, I do agree with you. On to the next NFL news. The AFC playoff is set, okay? We've got the Dolphins making the playoffs for the first time since 2016, okay? Salute to the Dolphins fans out there. I know that there's one watching right now, and I put that comment in for him. The NFC is, it should say almost set, but we're still waiting on the results of the Detroit versus Green Bay game. If y'all watched the 4 o'clock games, Seattle won in overtime, which was very, very interesting in how they were able to come back and win that game. And if Green Bay wins this game versus Detroit, who is eliminated because the Seahawks won, Green Bay gets the 7th seed for the NFC. If Green Bay loses, the Seahawks will have backdoored their way into the NFC playoffs for the NFL. Okay? And I find that, interesting. My odds on winning the playoffs this year, with all of the teams that are in, I think this is going to be either Philadelphia's year or the San Francisco 49ers year. I hate to say that as a Baltimore Ravens fan, but I just don't see any teams competing with those two. And Buffalo has a shot at, going deep into the playoffs, but we're going to see how they get past the Dolphins. If the Dolphins had a healthy tour, then the Dolphins would be that team that I think America and the people that support the NFL would kind of root for as the underdarling. All right. The Buccaneers sneaking into the playoffs by winning their division in the weak NFC South is another interesting story. Is this going to be Tom Brady's last year playing in the league? How does his team rally behind him to, help him get another ring, to add to what his already 7 or 8 that he's got so far? The fact that the Buccaneers got into the playoffs with an 8-9 record just shows you how weak the NFC South was. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to be watching the game after this live stream ends. I don't think Green Bay it's this game is Green Bay's to lose, and I think with them understanding that, they're going to go and play a lot harder. Detroit has been a turnaround story. They were featured on Hard Knocks, and it became easy to root for them when you get invested into the players and their stories. And it would have been interesting to see what what Detroit could have done had they made it. But alas, Seattle Seahawks said, nah, bruh, y'all are not having a chance. All right, let's go back to the chat before I move on to the next segment. Mike Larson said, nah, he just thinks that he had an undetected heart issue. And that's going back to Hamlin. I agree with you. I agree 100%. I believe that Hamlin has an undetected heart issue. Mine was undetected. Like I said, I was in the Air Force at the time. How my heart issue got detected was somebody didn't do their job properly. And with me getting scheduled to deploy, they had to go recreate my records. And in the process of recreating my records, I had to get an EKG, and my EKG came out weird. And it was the first EKG in 9 years since I had gotten in from the initial MEPS. So when my EKG was weird, they ran more tests, and that's how it was determined. From what I know about physicals, in high schools, you don't do EKGs. In colleges, depending on where you go, if the sports program is well funded, they will do stuff like EKGs for their players. But typically, people don't find out about cardiac issues until something happens, or if you're that, top 5%er that can go from, high school to professional, depending on what sport you play, or NCAA to the NFL, then it's when they're about to invest millions of dollars into you that you have those extended physicals that can detect or find out things like undiagnosed heart issues. So, to what Mike Larson said up above, I agree. Pookie said he's mad at Miami. Why are you mad, Pookie? Let us know why you mad. Put it in the comments. Put some angry face emojis while you do it. Mike Larson said that the hit could have also done it to Hamlin. 5 people have had heart attacks in live games in hockeys. One was caused by a puck to the chest. Yes, okay. Let's talk about that real quick. We're playing a sport, or not we. Those guys are playing a sport in which fast, strong men are running into each other and colliding, okay? And there's all types of protective equipment in the NFL, but the body's very intricate. And when you're talking about colliding like that, it can just be the wrong type of impact in the wrong way at the wrong time that could cause you to have your TV turned off. Plain and simple, okay? Let's see. Jeff Albino, I messed your name up, said, let's go Detroit. Yep, let's go home and to the couch, because after the conclusion of this game, they are eliminated and out regardless. Pookie's got Kansas City going all the way. How much you want to bet on that? We can't bet on that. But I'm going to talk about something a little bit later on that I would like to do with the listeners out there regarding fantasy sports. All right. And we'll talk about that as I close out the live stream. U.S. Army WTF moments. Hey, salute to whoever's running that, said that the hit was a hard hit. Yeah, look, it was a hard hit. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Mike Larson said the Dolphins and the Giants are his Super Bowl prediction. I mean, look, you're a Dolphins fan. You have to say that. Okay? It would be great if that occurs. If the Dolphins and the Giants make it to the Super Bowl, you know what you have to do, right? You have to fly up to the DMV area so that we could have a bomb Super Bowl watch party in that game, because you are very good friends with somebody who you're going to be co-hosting on another one of the shows that's on WTF uh, Nation, which is Pop Culture Warrior, that airs Tuesday at 8 p.m. on the very same streams that you're watching this from. Okay? So, if that is what comes true, fly your way up here. Marcy said, "Good morning. Where are you checking in from, Marcy? That it's the morning time where you're at." And look, to the people who are watching, type into the comment section what sports you watch, what you're interested in, okay? Because as we do this live stream and other content that's going to be on this channel and what's called the Sports Bar, we're going to build the content for the viewers. This will be, I'm almost hesitant to call it a viewer led live stream, but I want the engagement. I want to build a community of viewers that comes to the Sports Bar and talks about their sports. Okay, there are people that are die hardcore fans when it comes to sports, and it's interesting when you consider, what sports is, and how it can bring people together. All right. So where are we at here? WTF Army Moment said, "Stairs and Raiders." Stairs and Raiders fans, salute to you, Ice. Hey, man, y'all had a rough season. Okay. Pretty stadium. I think a team that could have done something, but Josh McDaniels, the coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders, I think he's the problem. You can't tell me that with Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, and Josh Jacobs, and a line that was pretty decent on the offensive side, that the boys shouldn't have been putting up 20 to 25 points a game. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders defense wasn't that good, but that's a different story. All right. David Cunningham said, "I think that the Chiefs are beatable without Tyreek Hill." Absolutely. When you look at that offense, it starts with Mahomes, and it's always started with Mahomes, but Tyreek Hill is a difference maker. Point blank, period. Look at what the Dolphins have done with Tyreek Hill. And Tua, who just slings the ball when he's not having 10,000 concussions. Tua has been slinging the ball to Waddle and Tua. And I want to say that they both had over 1,000 yards easily. Okay. And several touchdowns apiece. One of the receivers for the Dolphins had more receiving yards than all of the Tennessee Titans receivers combined. That's crazy when you think about it. Also, A.J. Brown, who plays for Philly, who came from the Titans, by himself had more receiving yards and touchdowns than the entire Titans receiving stats. I found that fascinating. He had to leave to get his shine on, which is interesting. All right. We got Anna Garrett said that she's all about that football life. Salute. Heath Barlow said water polo. You know what? Water polo is a sport. Okay. I don't know how often we'll be talking about it, but you know what? And I know you're probably being sarcastic, but salute to you. Pookie said, "I'm big on golf." You know what, Pookie? Something that I'd like to do? I'd like to get into golf. I tried a golf training seminar session. I suck at it. I go to Top Golf all day because they have adult beverages and you can just be sociable. And I don't try to go for points. I just try to hit the ball off the tee. But I would like to get into golf personally for the social aspect of it. They say business dealings are made on the greens. And I'm trying to get into some of those business dealings. All right. So we'll be talking about golf on here as well, as there's golf news. And hey, let me also just be honest here. I'm using this segment to expand on my sports knowledge. Okay. I have some general sports knowledge, but I want to try to be, know a little bit about a lot across the sports aspect. Mike Larson said he is into football, baseball, hockey, football, and bass fishing. Is bass fishing a sport? Is bass fishing a sport? Let me know. All right. Coach has checked in. He said that the Raiders should have stayed in Oakland. I don't think anybody should stay in Oakland, but that's just me. All right. Pookie said, get a pitching wedge and learn how to drop it on a target. Okay. Hey, look, we got people offering tips. Okay. Get a pitching wedge and learn how to drop it on a target. I just screenshotted that right there. Okay. I'm assuming that you are a pretty good golf as well. What's your handicap? I asked that only because people say that and I don't even know what that means. Man, I wish my sound effects was working right now. And Anna said fishing is a sport. Okay. I'm going to agree with that. Fishing is a sport. I just don't do it well. And if I can't do it well, then maybe it's not a sport, which is all sports or all the things. All right. Let's get into the next segment, which is going to be top five. All right. And this is where things could be interesting. I was having a conversation with some of my friends, and we got to talking about NBA basketball and who's the top five dunkers. Now, I don't have any sound effects yet, as I'm still building out this show, but I'm going to get into what is my top five dunkers. And sound effects, top five, top five, top five. How'd y'all like that? All right. Let's get into the top five dunkers. All right. Number five, I'm going to go with Russell Westbrook. Now, let's see if this thing shows why I picked Russell Westbrook. All right, there it is. Yo, look at that. Ooh. I'm going to build on this show, baby. We going to do some things. But look at how he yoked that thing. All right. Russell Westbrook, no matter what you think about him, he's that slasher. He goes to the rim hard, and when he dunks like you just aren't there. Okay? And my top five list is based on who I think are some of the top five dunkers of all times to date. As of today, okay, January 8th, 2023. Okay? So let me know if you follow NBA, if you think that Russell Westbrook even deserves to be in the top five. Who's my number four? Let's see if this works. Blake Griffin. All right, Blake Griffin has made my number four. Now, why am I listing Blake Griffin? All right, who remembers that dunk? When he just said, hey, get out my way. Look at that. Look at that. You almost can't call that a dunk, but it is. But I remember when I saw that play live, and the way he jumped over that dude and just said, get off me, was one of my my personal all-time favorite dunks. And Blake Griffin was known as a dunker. All right. When you've earned the respect of your peers like other people do, have done in the NBA, you deserve to be in people's top five, and Blake Griffin will make a lot of people's top five. All right. Let's look at my number four. Who is correct, number three? Okay. And I see some names in the chat. David Cunningham. Some of these names might be in my top five. All right. Gerald Green. Gerald Green is a name that a lot of people don't really know because he didn't have that superstar factor. But this dude was known for jumping above the rim. I mean, absolutely skyrocketing, doing some very acrobatic dunks in the game. Not just in like a dunk contest. Look at that. Look at that. He was looking down in the rim. And I would say Gerald Green was like 6'7", which is tall. But yet he was tall with bounce. All right. So Gerald Green makes my number three top dunkers of all times. He was also one of the more exciting ones. And if you played any of the sports games like I did, that dude's bounce was unbelievable. All right. Unbelievable. Who's my number two? Let's get to my number two. LeBron James, a.k.a. the GOAT. Now, look, I'm saying LeBron James is my number two. I also call him the GOAT. I'm a huge LeBron James fan, okay? But he wasn't my number one. So that shows I do have a little bit of objectivity, all right? But let's take a look at LeBron James. I don't know if y'all remember this. When it was pass, Jason Terry saw that floor. Run that back. Hey, run that back. That dunk right there. If you didn't stand up when that happened, I'm gonna say that that was in the playoffs too. Ugh, and he mean mugged him, stared him down. Hey, look, when you are in the game and you get dunked on like that, what do you do? What do you do? You gotta, if you have kids, right? Your kids are gonna see these highlights on YouTube or on these type of live streams like this and go, "Hey, yo, pops, why you embarrass our lineage like that?" So LeBron James is my number two dunker. Okay, who's number one? Number one has already been said. Okay, there's number one is also the sports bar, aka Coach over there. Number one. So that sports bar channel that y'all see in the stream on Facebook is that's me. That's my channel or whatnot. So if you're not following the sports bar as well on Facebook, go on over there and give it a follow. My number one is Vince Carter. All right. But which dunk did I pick? I didn't pick the Olympic dunk for this highlight. I picked the dunk on Alonzo Mourning. And the reason why I picked that dunk was that Alonzo Mourning himself and everybody around the league, when Alonzo was playing, was viewed as one of the league's elite defenders around the rim. All right. Back in his time, you had, Shaq and you had Alonzo Mourning. Alonzo Mourning wasn't known to get dunked on like that. All right. And Vince Carter himself, when I was looking for his highlights, he rated the Olympic dunk as his overall second dunk. And that dunk on Alonzo Mourning as his top dunk because of the respect that it got with his peers in the NBA around the league. And look, who doesn't want to get that highlight on the best of the best, right? If you're that young guy that's playing in the NFL and you get that pick on a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers, that right there is something that you're going to always remember. Okay? Vince Carter said he remembers that one because it was against one of the best. So my top five dunkers of all time as of today, okay, it goes Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, Gerald Green, LeBron James, and Vince Carter. What y'all think about that list? Okay? What y'all think about that list? Was anybody surprised by my number one? All right? Who would have been your number one? There were some people that made kind of an honorable mention that's being listed in the chat right now. Spud Webb was like my height and had bounce and had bunnies. Okay. He definitely made my honorable mention. John Morant, a young guy in the NBA now. He's in everybody's conversation because of how well he is, how young he is. I'm just scared that a player like John Morant, when it comes to his longevity, might have the same issues as Derrick Rose. For the people that don't remember or don't know who Derrick Rose is in the NBA, I want to say Derrick Rose is a little bit younger than me, but man, his skill on the floor was just chef's kiss. Okay, he was like Allen Iverson and who's like another slasher. I have to think about this one a bit. But he was like, another up and coming AI. And a lot of people know how AI was with the ball on the floor. Rose was a scorer, and a point guard who could assist. I mean, he did it all. So to have a player like Ja play as well as he does, I'm hoping that that continues. I'm just afraid of it not being something that he could do long term because of how he plays. If the young man takes care of himself, he has a chance to be one of the all-time greatest. The Sports Bar said that we've disrespected the OG dunkers on this list. Julius Dr. J. Irvin. Yes, we did. He would have been my number 6, but I can only list 5. All right. We have David Cunningham said, I think that the dunking contest should not have a basket that can be raised like the high jump. So we know who has the highest jumper in the NBA. Oh, okay. Like who could dunk on, the highest. So you started off at 10 feet, which is the standard of where it's at now. And then you go to 11 and then you go to 12. I like that idea. I like that idea. That could be interesting because look, it's not just about how tall you are, but it's how athletic you are. What kind of bunnies you have. All right. Seeing somebody like Spud Webb, who, correct me if I'm wrong, was like about 5'7". Seeing somebody like his height dunk on a 10-foot rim looks way better than LeBron, who's like 6'9" dunking. Okay. Who's got that length. LeBron still has bunnies. He still has hops. Don't get me wrong. But to see somebody dunk on a 12-foot rim, especially with the average athlete just being taller now, I think that you've got something there, David Cunningham. Salute to you. Pookie said, y'all mean that's who you would have put on your dunking list? Can you put somebody that's like 7 feet 1,000 on an all-time dunking list? I'm curious. Trae Young. Is Trae Young good to, you're saying that John Moran is like an Allen Iverson and Trae Young? Maybe. Just maybe. So Joe says, where is his airness, aka MJ, on my list? I put him at 7. Behind Dr. J. Look, Michael Jordan definitely had air. I mean, look, I want to be like Mike became a thing for a reason. All right. But I put his airness as number 7 on my top 5 list. Okay. So one of the things that I would like to do each week is have a top 5. The top 5 is going to rotate out each live stream. Okay. So I might have a top 5 greatest Olympic athletes. Top 5, greatest badminton match of all times. Who knows? Is what's that game? Table tennis. Do y'all consider table tennis a sport? I know ESPN can make table tennis seem exciting. I might have top 5 table tennis trick shots showing up on one of my live streams. All right. Ooh, look at Pookie with the idea. Let me show that. He said top 5 UFC knockouts. Absolutely. I'm going to be covering UFC as well. I think ultimate fighting as a sport is interesting. Okay. I also found it interesting, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this one. Dana White. If y'all didn't see, Dana White on New Year's Eve got caught pimp slapping his significant other. Let me just say it like that. And look, over here at WTF Nation Radio, we don't condone violence. All right. But let's talk about what occurred. All right. Dana White and his wife were having a tiss. And in their argument, which was captured on somebody's cell phone, his wife smacked him and he smacked her back. It's like I said, disclaimer, we don't condone violence over here. But what's interesting about that, and I'm going to see if I can bring this up on online, because I was like, I thought it was a meme. All right. You have to be careful about what you do and put out here. But if you look at this, Dana White also was supposed to debut something called the power slap. Okay. And I don't know how I'm going to bring this up without changing my screen. So I'm just going to put it on the top 5. But take a look at this. Powerslap.com is indeed a league ran by Dana White. Okay. It was supposed to premiere. I want to say it was supposed to premiere early in January, but with what happened with him and his wife, they decided to delay the TV debut on that. Okay. But this is not a meme. This is a real thing. Powerslap.com on TBS. This is going to be on TV. Where have we gotten to in where you can't you can sit here and have something as violent as this on TV? Are we not entertained by regular stuff anymore? Okay. I know that there's been slap competitions that have been kind of underground, like Fight Club. You know, people have them all the time. Folks have made money on them. There's a slap championship belt going around somewhere. But Dana White has figured out a way to turn violence into something lucrative. You know, starting with UFC and coming over here to this power slap. I really need to know how he was able to get this on TV. All right. The sports boy asked if cornhole is a sport. It should be. Have y'all played cornhole? Cornhole is a very interesting sport, in my opinion. I think it can be. There are some people that are snipers in cornhole. Might do a top 5 cornhole shots. All right, Spanky is in the building. Salute to Spanky. Appreciate you joining. David Cunningham with the live sports update. Green Bay is winning 0-3 in the first quarter with 8 minutes left. I appreciate the update, David Cunningham. One of the things that I would like to do, and I'm going to figure out the tech behind this, is to have it a way that, you know, if there's something live going on during the show, have it to where there's a sports ticker that's going to come up here. We're going to bring a lot to you guys. I just have to get there and figure it out. It is now 3-3. Detroit's tied it up. Yeah, let's go make this a game. All right. I think armored combat is better than a slap contest. Hey, Pookie, I have to see what this armored combat is that you're talking about. If I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not familiar with armored combat, but it sounds interesting. I definitely want to check it out. All right. Pookie in the chat said, dudes swinging sword and axes at each other wearing 100 pounds of medieval armor. Yo. That's on some straight medieval times type situation over there. All right. When's the last time y'all been to a medieval times? Medieval times. I definitely want to go back to one of those. All right. Show nipples from the top down, respectfully. What you mean, Polly Nikes? All right. What do you mean? All right, let's get to my last thing here, and I have to bring back up what we are going to talk about. And the last segment of this live stream is going to be sports trivia. I wish I had sound effects. Sports trivia. Sports trivia. All right, let's bring this up here. Y'all heard an invisible sound effect. Swoosh. Tonight's sports trivia is a question. Now look, we're all probably watching this from some type of online connected device. The first question is going to be a softball. As a matter of fact, I ran this question by a friend of mine, and this fool told me that everybody should know what this thing is. I did not. And he said only a dummy would know. So that will put me in the dummy category. The host of the sports bar is a dummy when it comes to this sports question. So when I ask the question, okay, to the people that are listening and watching, I would like for you to put in the chat what you think the sport is. Okay? Don't Google it though. All right? Use the honor system. Here's the question. And I need some type of music to play when I do this segment. What sport uses a net, racket, and a shuttlecock? I tried saying that without giggling. I had to Google what a shuttlecock was, by the way. All right. What sport uses a net, a racket, and a shuttlecock? If you know what sport that is, put it in the comments section. All right. Let's play the Jeopardy sound. Is it Jeopardy? Do 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 ring. Do 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 bring ding 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 boom 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 boom. Hey, fair use if the streaming software decides to shut that off for me butchering the Jeopardy tune. But there were several people in here that had it correct. It is badminton. Ding, 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 ding. All right. I see several people in here put it correctly. We have Jeff, U.S. Army WTF Moments, David, Polonikus. I hope I said that right. Michelle, Pop Culture Warrior, said obvious that I'm an idiot. Okay. And Polonikus said Kuwait MFers know what's up on this one. Thank goodness for autocorrect by Michelle. All right. Yep. All I needed to hear was shuttlecock. Yes, that's why I picked it. I was literally looking for questions, and all I needed to hear was shuttlecock, and I just giggled. Hey, find a reason to use shuttlecock in a sentence one day. Just sneak it in there and see the looks that people will give you. But the shuttlecock is the ball thing that you hit, the thing that's got the ball and the feathers on it or whatnot. So that is your sports trivia for today. I got asked a question about what I thought about the college playoffs, and I cannot believe that I missed that. All right. So we're going to go to upcoming news. Hey, and then we're going to close out the stream. So look, whoever asked me that question, I appreciate you bringing that up because I totally forgot to run down that one. That was supposed to be earlier. You know what? Y'all would have known if I didn't tell y'all that. So let's rewind that back. We're going to close the show with my thoughts on the upcoming college football championship. First of all, Alabama's not in it. So is it a college championship? Did TCU deserve to be in there? Look, Bama lost to two teams that were ranked in the top 20 at the time by a total of 5 points. Okay, and they showed in that bowl game against Kansas State, who beat TCU, that Bama was the strongest team. Point blank period. But you know what? My bad. Let me correct my tone a bit. Bring it back down. Tomorrow's college football championship game that's being played at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, is between the TCU Horned Frogs, who came into it as the number 3 team, against the number 1 Georgia Bulldogs. What is my opinion on this game? Look, I'm from Alabama, all right? And it's my opinion that Alabama and the South in general has a culture of developing stronger football players, okay? And those that stay around that region just seem to play better, in my opinion. The advent of NIL has now made it to where, which is, let me go back, name, image, and likeness, okay? Has made it to where I think in the next 3 or 4 years, you're going to see the playing field of college football expand in a way that would not have occurred without these young men and women being able to earn money in college off of their name, image, and likeness being used. A prime example of that, in my opinion, is TCU. TCU was able to recruit players, have it to where their name, image, and likeness can earn them some, how do I say this, lucrative deals, so to speak. So other teams can compete against the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Georgias, to where, 4 or 5 years from now, it's when they expand the college playoffs, because you're going to have a lot more parity, in my opinion. You can have a team like TCU get to the college playoffs and win. Is that going to happen tomorrow? Not going to happen. I think Georgia is a complete defense, a complete offense, and if they can stick to what they do well, which is running the ball, Georgia should dominate tomorrow's game. As y'all see on the screen here, it is a 63 over under. And for those of y'all that don't understand odds, Vegas Sportsbook like to place a prediction on what the total score is going to be. And just above there, you see the word line. All right, let's do a little bit of education. Line is the the total that they believe that the spread is going to be. So when you see minus 12.5, a lot of Vegas sportsbook people and other smart folks are betting or setting the line at Georgia winning by at least 12.5 or around 12.5. So that's about 2 touchdowns. Okay. So the negative means that Georgia is favored to beat TCU by 12 and a half points. So that's how you read that. And when you go and you do things like sports betting, all right, you can bet the over or under. Will it be more than 63 points? Will it be less than 63 points? You can bet if it'll be exactly 63 points. Okay. Will Georgia win by more than 12 and a half? Will Georgia lose by more than 12 and a half? I didn't quite understand the betting aspect of sports until about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. And I do a little bit of sports betting myself. Not a lot, but a little bit. And I've been pretty successful at it. I'm not going to say that I've done great. I've been okay with it. One of the things that I'd like to do, if this is okay to do, station manager, I hope you're listening, is I'd like to have a listeners league across various sports, okay? A listeners league in like DraftKings, Yahoo, ESPN, whatever. But have like a season long league if the viewers are interested in doing it, okay? Um, then we can certainly do that. And then we can come back each week and talk trash about who's doing well and who's not. Okay, but these are the type of things that we can do over here at the sports bar. And I'm looking at building that out, but I'm going to need the engagement from you guys who are listening and watching. Okay? So, what do I think is going to happen at tomorrow's game? I think that Georgia is going to win. I'm betting on it being over. I think that TCU is definitely going to put up some points. When you say a combined 63, you're talking a lot of touchdowns between both teams, especially with it being 12 and a half point favor for Georgia. I think it's going to hit the over. I think Georgia's going to win by, let's say, I say Georgia by 17. I think Georgia's going to win by 17. I think it's going to be an exciting college playoffs. I would have rather had seen Alabama come in at the 3 spot and then had a Alabama versus Georgia college football playoff championship game to see who should have really been playing in the SEC championship game. But you know what? I didn't necessarily get what I wanted, and that's okay. That is okay. So let's get ready to close out the first inaugural episode of the Sports Bar. Yay! Clap, 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 clap. My sound effects I forgot to put on this profile, so we don't have that right now. All right. Let's take a look at what the chat said, and then we are going to depart. And if anybody could give the Green Bay score right now, I would appreciate it. Okay. Lerny said, I don't know why I'm here. You're here, Lerny Bazaar, to listen to me talk about sports. Eventually, I'm going to have a co-host. All right. If you don't know much about sports, tune in and learn about sports. It's a great way to get people talking together for a common thing. All right. Unless you're a Phillies fan, and Phillies fans just want to fight everybody. All right. Pookie said that he swore I said TCU, and I was about to say, how dare you talk smack about my team? Little known fact, I almost attended TCU. Many moons ago, I almost attended TCU. David Cunningham said Georgia DBs better be ready. Absolutely. And that the athletes should be paid. I said that athletes should get paid. Yes. Yes, if they especially look, if they're going to use your name, image, and likeness, you should be compensated besides just an education, in my opinion. And I think that it's a step in the right direction. What I wanted to say earlier is look at what Colorado did with Coach Prime, Deion Sanders himself. Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State caused an uproar between certain cultures, okay? And he went to Colorado and is going to completely change that. And I think the impact is going to be felt immediate, okay? Deion Sanders, wherever he goes, wins. plain and simple. Hall of Famer, multi-sport. His first coaching gig was successful during his 3 years at Jackson State, and I think he's going to immediately turn things around. And he brings the swag, the resume, even though he didn't have a coaching resume, he brings the resume of somebody that puts things together and wins wherever he goes. And NIL is going to help Colorado, who was a 2-win team this past season, completely turn around and have an immediate win season. I think season 1 of Coach Prime's tenure there is going to show that. And if you watch the Amazon Prime documentary and some of the things that his own crew puts out, I mean, it's obvious that he's got the support of the university, the athletic director, and everybody else that works the athletics there. Okay. And also be invested into what these kids are going to do post football, because it's not just about the sport. Okay. It's about taking these young men and women and producing adults that can make this earth at least be somewhat decent for us to live on. That's my opinion. All right. U.S. Army WTF Moment said, let's talk about Texas and Oklahoma popping smoke to join the SEC. They're going to wish they didn't do that. They're going to wish they didn't do that. They'll be better than Vanderbilt. But to come over where the big boys play, I mean, even with NIL, it's not going to help that much. Texas A&M had one of the top recruiting classes, but did not have the discipline enough to make things work out. They had the talent, but when you got people wanting to smoke and joke instead of getting their education and, putting in work in the weight room, I mean, you can see what type of season that they had over there in the SEC. All right. The score is still 3-3. Oh, no. The score in the Detroit Green Bay is now 3-6. All right. Learn to refresh over there. All right. I'm going to close out the stream, but read these last comments here. We got Jeff Albino said players should have been paid a long time ago as schools were making a fortune off of players. Absolutely. David Cunningham said Ed O'Bannon was an advocate to change the NIL. You know what? Let me scratch my head. I don't know who Ed O'Bannon is, so I'm going to have to do some Googling myself. All right. David Cunningham came back and said that the Buffs of the early 90s were bad boys. That's at least how I imagine you typing that. They were bad boys. I don't know the early Colorado teams. All right. I'd have to Google that one myself to see who all played on that team. Like people can say like the 98 Hurricanes for Miami. Those are some bad boys. All right. So salute to you. And I said, I can't wait to see what Coach Prime does. He's going to have a lot of people tuning in, a lot of eyes. And what he's doing too with social media, he's giving like the behind the scenes. That's the young people today. If they could be on YouTube, like that's what they're looking for. So if you could go over there to Colorado, okay, and work the system, okay, be a part of the system. Coach Prime can make you famous. He can make you one of the top players around the country that can change your life. Change your life if you take advantage of the opportunity. So look, if there are people that are in high school watching this, word of advice, do your absolute best. Make sure academically you're solid, okay? And work your butt off. There are people that are going to be naturally athletic, okay? People are just better than others at stages in life, but I'm telling you, having an opportunity like that at any level, whether it's with Coach Prime at Colorado or at any level, take advantage of anything you're given. If you weren't offered any scholarships, walk on. There's been several walk-on players that have had successful careers. Austin Eckler didn't even get drafted, and look what he's doing with the Chargers. All right? So look, that is my show for tonight. I don't have a sign out scene to play, but we're just going to close the show by ending the stream. So you know what? A salute and a hand clap to everybody out there that watched the inaugural sports bar scene. Be sure to tune in on WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF moments each day and follow their social media pages, which I want to say is in the description. If not, oops, as they provide various content over there and have an on air host or an on air personality almost every day of the week at 8 p.m. US Eastern. I don't know all the shows that they put on just yet, but if you're somebody that likes sports, stay tuned into the sports bar Sunday nights at 8 p.m. US Eastern as we come and chop it up and rap about all things sports. So salute to y'all. I'm out. Peace.